Hey guys, it's Paul here at The Wedding Man, offering tips and tricks on organising your wedding day and also some tips for wedding suppliers down the line as well. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at 10 alternative ideas for catering for your wedding day. So if your wedding follows a traditional format like it does here in the UK, you may have 2 or 3 different instances during your day where your pesky guests are going to expect to be fed. So you're going to have things like after your ceremony has taken place, you're going to be at the venue or get back to the venue, however the format works, where you're going to have things like canapes and nibbles while guests are having a drink or two and you guys are having your photos taken. Later on, you're going to have your wedding breakfast or your reception dinner. And then in the evening, if you've got a whole day event, you're going to have nibbles and food for your evening guests and your whole daytime guests as well. Interesting fact, in the UK, we call it the wedding breakfast. This dates back to the 17th century, where all of the guests would fast before Mass. I think it's Eucharist Mass. And then after the ceremony had taken place, it would be the bride and groom's first meal together, and they would literally break fast. So ever since the 17th century, it's been known as the wedding breakfast. In the US, I think you guys just call it reception dinner, which makes perfect sense and works as well. Okay, but it's going to be one of the biggest expenses of your day. Feeding your guests alongside things like the venue and stuff like that. You're going to be paying anything from $30-40 or pounds per head up to very high end where you might be paying £100, $100 plus. And you may want to personalize that and have something different depending on your venue and that type of thing as well. So it's something you might want to look into at the beginning. So the first step of that is going to be considering your venue. So depending on where you're getting married, that's really going to determine the degree of personalization you're going to have over your food options. Some venues that you go to, you will be expected to use their caterers or their on-site food team to supply the food. You may choose the venue on that basis. If you know they're going to have amazing food there, then that's going to be an easy decision, and that's going to kind of be one of the deciding factors. But other venues have certainly been, I know bride and grooms have been caught off guard because they've booked a venue and then they've found other suppliers where they've wanted to bring in certain aspects of food during their day, and the venue has told them no, because you can only use their particular caterers, either for the main meal or suppliers down the line, for alternatives, things like ice cream bikes or sweethearts or whatever it might be. So you might have to use a specific type of caterer off their list. Okay, so be careful when you choose your venue. That's going to be a big determining factor of the type of options that you're going to be able to use for your food down the line. Okay, so first up, so this is not so much an alternative source of catering, obviously, but you're going to have your traditional catering. These are going to be like your venue suppliers and things like that, as I just mentioned, who are going to supply your main sit-down meal. They may also supply your canapes beforehand or your nibbles, and they may also supply your evening food, or just one of those aspects. These are going to be the guys that you are going to be put in touch with when you book a venue, if they've got their own in-house team of caterers, and you're going to have menu options and probably pricing options there as well. So kind of have a look at those, see if you like those from the offset, and that might help you choose your venue as well. Okay, so going for number 2, you're going to have alternative outsourced caterers. So again, going back to the venue where you've booked, you may be expected to use their caterers, or you may have to do the whole thing yourself. So certain places you've booked a marquee wedding on certain gorgeous outdoor grounds on a national trust property or national park or whatever it might be, or some barn weddings I know do it in the UK as well, where you just literally hire the venue and then all the external suppliers you need to bring in yourself. So these are going to be the guys that come in, supplying your food. There might be various levels, again, whether it's just for your nibbles early on or your main sit-down meal or your evening guests. Having this kind of option is going to give you lots more choices, because you may be able to find a caterer that supplies a certain sort of type of food that you like, whether it's Mexican or African or Spanish or French. This is going to allow much more specialization to pick a caterer that you like as well, and you're also going to have a few more choices over price than if you've just got to use one that the supplier has determined for you. But there's going to be all sorts of caterers from kind of low end cheap price up to the very, very best. So this is something that you want to put a bit of research into at the start of your wedding journey, determine your budget for food, and seeing what kind of caterers are available in your local area. Okay, so that's second option. So going in for your third one, you have always going to be popular is barbecue. So whether that's during you have that for your main sit down meal, or whether that's for nibbles in the evening, something like a barbecue can work fantastically for guests to just go up and help themselves or be served. It's going to offer lots of different food options. It's going to be quite cost effective. I attended a wedding a few years ago, one of my good friends, and they were fortunate enough that I think one of their uncles was a butcher, so they just had the grill going during the meal. For the meal rather. Guests just kind of went up for, to help themselves at different times during a couple-hour period, and they had sausages and burgers and chicken and corns on the cob and all the salads and coleslaw and those sort of things as well. So there's loads and loads of food there, really really cost effective option, which kind of kept the prices per head down for serving their guests. It's always going to be popular, so you may not want that, as you may want something slightly more special for your sit down meal, but that could be a great option for your evening food later on, when any extra guests arrive in the evening, or your daytime guests just get a little bit peckish, a couple of hours after your big sit down meal has taken place. So a really good option, and that rolls quite nicely into my fourth option for alternative caterers for your wedding day, which would be a hog roast. So here in the UK, I've attended loads and loads of weddings where either for the main course during the day or in the evening, you're going to have someone who turns up with a hog roast, which is, if you're not familiar with them, is either parts of a pig or a half a pig or a whole pig that's grilled on kind of a spit and turned over the course of 8 to 10 hours. They'll arrive with it pre-cooked normally, or just for the last couple of hours to cook and finish off. They will then chop and serve the meat, and there'll be loads and loads of food to go around for your guests from that. And again, that can be a really really cost effective way of serving guests. Over here in the UK, and it probably translates to the US as well, you're going to have costs could be anything from £500-600 of dollars up to £1,000, which could serve up to 100 heads, 100, 120, 150 people, as many as you want to serve. So you're talking a really good kind of cost effective amount per head there. £5, £6, £7, £8, £10 per person, which is going to be much less than if you've got caterers who are doing individual aspects. And again, with these guys, you can have a few choices over whether you have just the pork and the bun served with things like apple sauce and crackling, or if you have extras as well, such as your salads, your coleslaws, pasta, rice, all those type of things you can kind of add on as well. So you have to determine that with your caterer, but I always found that's a really really good option. Depending if you're vegetarian or vegan yourself, this might not be a suitable option for you, depending on your guests that are attending. Some may not like the idea of a pig being cooked on a big spit, but this is something for you to determine yourself. But I've always found it's a big crowd pleaser for people that are that way inclined, so certainly one to look at. Okay, so going in next, food trucks or pizzas. So you may have noticed over the last few years there's been an explosion of different types of food trucks. Here in the UK, we've got things like the converted Citroen H vans, we've got horse box conversions, we've got some really, really cool different types of food trucks which have popped up over the last few years at, weddings, fairs, fetes, carnivals, and all that type of stuff as well. The guys that serve on these, they do this day in, day out. So they're going to be specialists at what they cook. It's going to be a really cost-effective way to serve your guests again as well. So this could work really well for your evening food, where you have a nice sit-down meal, and then you have a food truck that pulls up and serves nibbles to your guests. Or you may have 2 or 3 food trucks if you've got like a carnival or festival-inspired wedding, where you have your main sit-down meal, and then you've got lots of different options to feed different types of guests as well. And again here, you can specialize or find different types of food trucks that serve the type of food you like. So you can have burgers, pizzas, Caribbean food, jerk chicken, fish and chips, pie and mash. They're all there. There's an amazing selection for you to choose from, and there's some great and it's going to be a really cool kind of quirky addition to your event as well. It's going to be a real kind of conversation starter, and again be quite a cost-effective way of serving your guests. Okay, so that goes into what I kind of specialise in, which is something different. So I started out with one ice cream bike about 10 years ago, and I've built that to a few and added lots of add-ons. So I do traditional ice cream bikes, sweet carts, chocolate fountains, popcorn, candy floss, bubble waffles, hot dogs, all those type of things, like extra little nibbles for the day. So working on the basis of, say, the ice cream bike, when your guests get back to your venue, they're starting to feel peckish because they may not have had anything since breakfast. You're having canapes, a couple of drinks. This can be a really extra cool addition to your day that kind of slots in and that 1 or 2 hour time slot before guests sit down for the evening meal. Also, it can be a great alternative in the evening. It's sort of nibbles as your evening guests arrive and all that type of thing. So yeah, it works really, really well. Just a kind of bonus bit of food for guests to nibble on during the day, which is going to be a good kind of add-on and really cost-effective way to serve them again. And so we go into the next one, which kind of adds on to that, is you've got things like sweet carts. So these have kind of stood the test of time and been around for the last 10 years or so since I've been in the hire business. I think a lot of bride and grooms book them on the basis of serving for kids, but actually you'll see the adults there once they've had a couple of drinks or whichever inside of them, really getting stuck in and enjoying themselves, and kind of making the most of those. So yeah, they're always popular. Really, good little nibble to pep guests up and give them a bit of sugar through the day. So these have proved consistently popular over the years and really kind of take people back to their childhood memories as well. So, the bride and groom are going to choose a selection of different types of sweets. You can have these either on a, sweet cart, a sweet table, sweet Ferris wheel, whatever it might be, but it's going to be a good kind of little nibble, which guests are going to be able to go and tuck them, go and help themselves to during the day, which is always a really, really good option. Okay, and then here's something a little bit different. I attended a wedding a few years ago, and what they did, they did bring a course thing. So it was a slightly different wedding. It was in kind of a woodland kind of forest setting, and then we all got back into the venue for the food thing. And what the bride and groom had requested to do is for all the different guests to bring a different course or bring a course for the meal. So you might have some that turned up, quiches or pastas or meats or whichever. But a great idea in the fact that there's a really, really broad selection of foods there, keeps the cost down really, really low for the bride and groom. There's going to be a few pros and cons to this. The cons are going to be that not all kind of wedding guests are going to want to bring food to cater for cater as a guest when they go to someone else's wedding day. They're just going to want to be spoiled and eat some really, really nice food. But on the other hand, it can prove a really cost effective way of doing it and keep costs low, and offer a bit of a selection and be quite a communal way to provide food on your day. So it's just going to be a good option. Depending on yourself, what type of couple you are, what type of venue you're getting married at, and what type of guests you've got attending. But really good option to explore there as well. And then going to a really cool one that I've seen over the last few years are grazing tables, which are kind of an alternative to your traditional buffet, which is another option, of course, as well. A grazing table could be something like your cured meats, your salamis, your chorizos, cheeses, all that sort of thing. You can have a big spread that you could either have for your main course that guests can go up and help themselves to, or as an evening selection as well. That a massive cheese board, with your grapes and your chutneys and all those different things that guests can really get stuck into. These are really kind of visually appealing as well. If you've got kind of nicely set up chopping boards and different bits and bobs, quite communal, and always prove popular as well. You can also do these with sweets as well. You might have things like your cupcakes, your pastries, your cakes, all sorts of different sort of sweet selections that you can have, really nicely kind of laid out that the guests can go and help themselves to. There's something a bit different. You're gonna get some great photos of it. And it might be something that other people that have got married haven't kind of thought of. So that might be a really good option to look into as well. And that's something you can either do yourself, or you're going to be able to get an outsourced caterer to kind of help you with that as well. So now we're going to go into our last option, which is if you want to get the party started, you might want something like a Prosecco bar there, or a cocktail bar, or a Pimm's bar, or a gin bar, or a cider bar, or something like that. Again, going back to the food trucks we've mentioned earlier, there's so many different options you can have now for getting some additional cool suppliers in. And I've seen things like tuk-tuks. I've seen really cool food trucks. I've seen kind of mopeds with Prosecco bar on the back. There's going to be some really, really cool ideas. You might want to offer like a cocktail hour or something that's really going to get the party started and that guests are going to enjoy. And it's going to be something quite unique and different to maybe lots of other events that you've attended, which is all we often find nowadays that bride and grooms really want to make their big day stand out. So that could be a great option as well. So here's your 10 options. Have a look at them. Again, it's going to go back to your budget, where you get married and that sort of thing, but some great cost effective options, and also some great ones for personalising your day. So I'll finish this up with a quote now, and it says from J.R.R. Tolkien, who was the writer of The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, and he said, "If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world." So amen to that. So hope you've enjoyed that, guys. Click the subscribe button if you've liked our video. Check out our newsletter below as well, which you can sign up to, which is going to send you a year of emails, one a week, with different tips and tricks each way, which are going to guide you through your wedding planning journey. We've also got some useful links below of other things you might like, such as gift lists and that type of thing. Take a look, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye bye.